because I was a lot of things and I am a lot of things, like, and it's a constant question that I get, like, when are you going to niche down? And I'm not going to. I remember naming the Make Haus, like sitting in my lounge room and, you know, kind of like coming to that point of like, okay, I need to put a name to it. I originally was my maiden name, Dani Butchart. I had a website, and then I wanted to detach from it being myself. I just have this thing that I didn't want to be it to be all about me. So whatever I was creating at that point, whether I knew how big it was going to be, like I wanted it to be something that I could just also go to and work at. So that's where the name The Make Haus sort of originated, and that, you know, it felt broad enough that it captured all the different areas without being like, I'm a florist, I'm a wedding stylist.
Yeah.
Because I was a lot of things and I am a lot of things, like, and it's a constant question that I get, like, how do you carry that load and when are you going to niche down? And I'm not going to.
Welcome to Behind the Design, a podcast where we unfold the details behind the designs we know and love and explore how each project comes to life. I am Camilla Ingle, owner of Unfolded, an interior design and styling studio. In this podcast series, we dive into the details with our industry experts, covering topics such as the creative process, latest design trends, and how we, as an industry, work together to meet the brief and overcome challenges. Let the conversation begin.
Welcome back to Behind the Design. I'm your host, Camilla Ingle, designer, founder of Unfolded, and someone who's endlessly fascinated by the stories that sit behind the creative work we do. Today, I'm joined by Dani Dean, founder of the Make Haus. Dani is a true creative, imaginative, resourceful, and bold, and she's known for florals and styling that pushes the boundaries, creating experiences that feel unforgettable. One of the things I think about often in design is the difference between ideas and execution. Many people can dream up something beautiful, but bringing it to life, especially at scale, is where the real craft lies. Dani has such a gift for doing both, and I can't wait to hear more about her process. Dani, welcome to Behind the Design.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so good to have you on. And I guess, I want to start with the Make Haus. It started with a well-renowned name for florals and beautiful designs in florals. Would that be correct to say? And then now it's just evolved into this business of design.
I mean, it's certainly evolved. I don't even think I started with florals, to be honest. Without making a big story of how it all started, the pre-story of Make Haus is that I studied to be a fashion designer. And I knew I wanted to do something creative. And then I fell into working for an Australian designer. Her name was Florals at the time. And her business had all these interior facets to it that I became exposed to. So then over time of working with her for 8 years, I suddenly was introduced to like styling and visual merchandising and like flowers, and I guess anything that kind of made her shop environments like really beautiful. I was sort of that person. I've worked with her for like 8 years. I came to a point where I needed to make decisions on what I was going to do. I started getting called in to do like really random things for jobs. Like, can you paint this to look like marble? Can you make this artificial green wall? Or like really bizarre tasks that I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I quickly just sort of recognized that there was like lots of holes in shoot and production and that sort of world where I could do these things because I was like really crafty and really handy and probably like silly to say yes to so many things. And I'd say yes before I even knew how to do it. Last few years of working with her, she was doing a book deal with Penguin. And so basically she went and crafted these like 10 or 12 different dinner party experiences, and we would create the sets from scratch. And at the time she would get Saskia from Grandiflora in to do all the flowers and like would say to her, can you just create like a meadow, like really insane setups. And they'd come in and they would just orchestrate these amazing setups. And I'd just be watching going like, I didn't even realize florists did this.
The extent of the job.
Like what you could actually do, as when people say, go be a florist, go be a designer. And then I started getting sent out to the flower markets to get various things. And I guess I just grew the confidence to suddenly say like, yeah, I could do that. And that's how the florals intertwined. So I'm always like grateful to like witnessing the Grandiflora team. And I still see them at the market and I'm like, oh, wow, they're like starstruck. And then Make Haus kind of evolved. I guess I didn't plan on setting up a business. I didn't ever know that I was like qualified or able to, but that's what happened. And I then decided to study interior design after that. So that's when I wanted to weave in the interiors, and it just took a lot of time of being a one-man band, of trying to like separate from the events and the floristry and the pace of that, to then kind of think, how am I going to introduce interior design? COVID hit, I had a really big pause, and I just hit the ground running and grabbed a few projects, and I think from then have established myself as a designer.
And so that's what, 5 years now?
No, this is my 10th year.
10th year?
Yeah, so I'd say until COVID was, that I guess that was like 5 years. I base it off my son, who is 10 this year. When I was pregnant, probably another reason why I went to start a business, because I was like, oh, what do I do now? Like with a baby, no one's going to hire me, or because I was living in a very freelance creative world. And I detached myself from being in a normal job. So no, it's been 10 years, but probably 5 years in, more full-time design capacity.
And so where are you based then? Are you across Sydney and then north or south of Sydney?
So we're based on the northern beaches.
Yeah.
We have just moved into a new studio in Cromer, which I love. I've grown up on the beaches. I moved to the east when I was in my 20s and, thought that was the life I was going to live. But now I've ended back up on the beaches, and it's, really, really nice. None of our work is there. We work in and around the city, all over Sydney and beyond. Like we will work beyond. We do jobs in Bali as well. Predominantly, studio based in Cromer.
Okay. If you think about what you've said with the transition from sort of being an assistant across several roles, that was very organic from how it sounds, to doing your own thing, was there ever, I think I might just keep doing this for other people and just freelance this out? Or
always, always. Like I remember naming the Make Haus, like sitting in my lounge room and, kind of like coming to that point of like, okay, I need to put a name to it. I originally was my maiden name, Dani Butchart. I had a website, and then I wanted to detach from it being myself. And I just have this thing that I didn't want to be all about me. So whatever I was creating at that point, whether I knew how big it was going to be, like I wanted it to be something that I could just also go to and work at. So that's where the name, the Make Haus, sort of originated, and that, it felt broad enough that it captured all the different areas without being like, I'm a florist, I'm a wedding stylist.
Yeah.
Because I was a lot of things, and I am a lot of things, and it's a constant question that I get, like, how do you carry that load, and when are you going to niche down? And I'm not going to. I've even forgotten your question now as to because that's what happens to me is like, for me, it's like, it's a creative space that people can come to and generate, whether it's an object or an idea or an experience or an interior, like we have our own way of like meeting that sort of scope.
And in that process with, a client or a customer, do you unpack that? Do they come to you with, hey, we might need this, but we don't know if we need this? And then
not always. I feel like the client comes to us, like if they want an interior job, that's what they say. But often they'll say, oh, like on great occasions, they'll be like, oh, I was at the Archibald and, I went to a gala dinner and I noticed that you did the flowers. Then I jumped onto your website and saw that you did interiors. Or it might be the other way around. Yeah. Or, I do, the daughter's wedding and suddenly the mum's like, oh, can you come do my kitchen? It's quite funny how like their clients bounce around like that. And I think they appreciate that we have this broad kind of outlook on design, that we're kind of looking at all the things. That might not suit everyone, but, we're not in business to be servicing everyone. No. So it's like if you kind of like that blend, that we're sort of in different pies. But the way that the studio's set up, like I have a different team that sort of manage the different aspects. So I'm the only person in Make Haus that works across the pillars.
Wow.
So it's sort of only I suffer. It's not suffering, but it's like I need to jump in and out all the time. Whereas they all lead their own areas.
And so I guess you kind of have to though as the owner, right?
Yeah.
Overseeing everything. And what's your favorite out of all of them?
I mean, I am an interior obsessed.
Okay.
Interiors is my favorite. I find florals is my therapeutic outlet. The events, like I do love the pressure and the chaos. To me, they all work together. But as a career and where I want to see myself moving forward and how like I position myself, like the balance of like work life, like interiors definitely is the place where I can be the most calm, I can plan, I can work from anywhere. It just feels it's like the foundation for me. So that's always what I wanted to carve out from high school. I just didn't have a typical exit from school and know what I was going to do.
It wasn't clear.
It wasn't clear. All that was clear that I was, was very creative and, you could try all these things. And I
did.
I tried, the fashion design and I tried to pursue those more like typical careers, but it just wasn't on the list, like interior designer. So I didn't reach for it until I knew it was there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I'm grateful that it was in my later 20s that I decided it was the right time, because who knows, like, do you get sick of it or would you want something new? I think it was good that I tried something that didn't really suit me and then I just jumped into it and thought, yeah, no, this is it. Like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So,
And so had you done anything prior to all of this? Like once you started that role
with the interiors,
Yeah.
well, I was exposed to opening a lot of stores with Fleur, and she worked with Kelvin Ho. It was one of like his debut jobs, and SJB was another designer. And so I sat, as a fly on the wall in those meetings, and I would often be sent to go, I did a lot of sourcing and worked with a lot of stylists that they'd bring in for those jobs, and I was just the runner.
You learn a lot.
I learned a lot on the ground, and so I just kind of hit the ground running, and then I just felt like I needed to also study to back up what I'd been doing out in the world. But I felt like I captured a lot of experience without even realizing how beneficial it was when I went to study, and even went to get my first proper design job, after, because, you don't even know really what you're in for.
People think, oh, you did your degree, you graduated, but you're still a baby.
Oh, totally.
There's so
I'm
much
still
we
learning.
don't know. Yeah,
Like every day.
Every day.
Like I am always asking questions and still like, oh, like I feel like I should know that, but I don't, like, because there's not enough time to consume it all, and you just start laser focusing on, well, what you have going on, really.
Yeah. And so, okay. And then do you juggle, was it the mum life? You were saying you've got kids as well.
The mum life,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So I have 3 kids now, and I've never had the business without kids. So I don't know what it's like to run a business without them. And it's probably a good thing because I've just adjusted to what that looks like. And I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, almost 7. And last year I had another baby. So yeah, baby Ryan, she's with a little girl, so 2 boys and a girl, and she's 18 months. So yes, I feel stretched at the minute, but also I always sound silly, but I feel so grateful that I've now can say that I'm not going to have any more kiddies.
Yeah.
And now I can like focus on again, like what's ahead of me, because I am just love to not relax.
So your natural energy is quite, I'm not going to say to be on, because I think we should steer away from that language of like, oh, I have to be on. But your natural energy sounds like that you're someone who you thrive in a creative environment, and it kind of gives you energy. Like extroverts get energy when they go out, introverts get energy when they feel up at home.
Exactly.
It's that kind of thing,
and I
isn't it?
think I'm an introvert because I don't know, do you ever get like properly classified as what you are?
Yeah.
But I'm a homebody and I feed off being at home, and I love like moving all my furniture around, and I just get like such a kick out of that. But the thought of relaxing, it makes me feel so unhinged. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm always in my head, I'm like, okay, this year we're renovating, we'll have a baby and we'll open a new studio. And then I might do that. And I'm like, okay, next year we're doing, X, Y, Z. And I'm always looking for more. Yeah. And I think that's maybe why I ended up creating a business, because even though I could take direction from someone else, and I did sort of enjoy sitting in someone else's world, I just was like, let's do more.
Yeah. And how, if you don't mind sharing, how does your partner manage that?
In his words, he'd probably say that I'm chaos. But, I'm very rigid, like in my home environment, I'm very different to how I am with friends and co-workers, because I get quite caught up. But he has his own business as well. Okay. So he is sort of understanding of it. And he has been there from the start and watched it grow and been like very much a part of some early jobs, like very much a part.
Like hands-on?
Very hands-on.
Okay.
He's built and created and laboured like excruciatingly for the Make Haus. Even though he might find it very taxing, it's so rewarding for both of us that we can like build our life. It's our job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we are passionate people, like I'm similar to you, I could easily say that Unfolded is my business, but between Unfolded as the business and Behind the Design as the podcast, I'm pretty, like it does take up 80% of my week.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot in it.
You can't do it alone.
No. And you can't. Having the support of a partner is amazing. And I'm still looking at how am I going to have kids in all of this, but I'm hoping to scale the business and manage that, in the next year or two. But it is interesting hearing how we do the juggle, who has to chime in at what
just
point.
slide in.
Yes, I have heard this.
That's the scary thing is that you do want to put it off. And obviously with our first, it was a little bit of a surprise. So we're like, okay, couldn't really plan that. But around the other two, there were considerations like, okay, well, what could I take on outside of this? Like how will the business look like, what can we do? And, I guess together you just establish what that looks like.
Yeah.
But then like your network around you, it sort of hugs you in a way to like get things going.
Community.
But then the kids they're just in the world. They're in the mix. So you'll sort it.
Yeah. Thank you. And so if you take me back then, so you grew up on the Northern Beaches.
I do.
And school and everything.
Yeah.
And do you remember, you were finishing school, and take me through, what kind of came through your mind of, all right, creative, because it sounds like you're quite crafty, quite hands-on.
Yeah. In school, I was really creative. Like I did all the obvious choices, your textiles, art. I even did woodwork. Like I did anything to not do the paperwork. And I excelled at all of those and loved them. I made a lot of things in school, and I used to make a lot of money by making these like totes and bags, and then I started making tops and all different things, and I just self-taught. I don't know where I got that from because there was no one in my family that was really doing that. But so I was entrepreneurial from the get-go. But then when I left school, I chose to travel. I didn't go into university because I didn't get the result that I needed to. I actually wanted to do forensic science. And that's what I was trying to go to university for. And then when that sort of didn't transpire, thank God, I was like, okay, I'll take a break and I'll go on a gap year, and went traveling, and then came back and studied fashion. And thankfully jumped into that job with Fleur like almost instantly. And then the trajectory started changing more to like lifestyle, homewares, sort of everything but fashion, but in a fashion house. So it was, I wasn't looking for that, but
it sounds like from what you're saying, homewares, florals, interior design, it's anything in a space.
It's right, like anything in a space. And then I had a real interest in styling, and like growing up, I used to love moving furniture around. My mum does that too, and I would watch her. So that's probably one cue. But I just didn't obviously know that sort of what interior design was at the time. But I think entering at a styling level for me was probably a really great, I don't know, like just being out in the world and creating. Like I'm really good with my hands and being involved, because what people don't realize, like, when you're designing a space, and like some designers might design it just from floor plan, 2D, create it, and they're satisfied with that. However, I need to be like within an environment, and, might need to get the feeling of furniture, like try a few different things. I never like to be like super set in stone, which is where in some, parts of design I feel it can be quite rigid, but I don't like to operate that way.
So that sounds like part of your creative process then. Like,
Yeah.
how would you, if a client calls and says, hey, you know, I really want your assistance on an interior design job, meet me on site. What if they said, oh, can we do a quick Zoom and I'll take you through the plans? And
That's fine. Like
Yeah.
I'd have, if I need to do remote design, like I definitely will apply myself in that regard. But if I don't need to, then I'd be like, I want to come to the space. I want to check the natural light. I want to see where this room feeds off other areas. I can't look at it in isolation. And often I'll jump straight into 3D modeling before I even, generally you could do that a few steps later. But I just like to get straight into that environment. And I've had people say to me like, you know, you should be upselling that as like a later tool, da-da-da-da. But I'm like, no, let's get into the space. Like I want to understand.
let's build it.
If I can, you know, do a double shower or the ceiling or stretch the ceiling or it's how I understand it. So yeah, I don't know if it's like a typical process, but that's just the order that I like to do it. Like I'm very tactile.
But what is the typical process anymore? You know, like we're all, as designers, as creatives, as stylists, I feel like we're always pivoting and creating new ways to do things and new
I know.
ways to, yeah.
Well, I guess like when we've looked at typical ways of how we do it in the past, like I tried for a period to only present to client like a white box room, you know, just draft it up. Everything's white. We're not talking about materials.
so
We're just
easy.
But then I'm like, how do I emphasize that I want that bath to be like this stone? And that's going to be so critical to what everything looks like. And so I was like, no, the white box method doesn't work for me in how I describe and see myself and the clients in the space. So, but we kind of chop and change it. But I think I just like to work in a real visual sense from the get-go.
Yeah.
And not so much like feed little parts in, which I know is, you know, when I speak to my friends that are in design, like they might work that way and they have huge gains from working like that. It's just, I think, how you approach it and what you're comfortable.
It's actually better for you to own your approach and your process because you're going to show up better for the client anyway.
True.
And the job's going to be better.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, this is how I do things well.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is how I feel most comfortable. And I mean, a client's never going to object to seeing a 3D render. No. Like they love it.
They're like, oh,
yeah,
so soon?
Yeah, exactly. So soon.
How good.
Yes, 24 hours. Not that quick, but
Totally. And so we were chatting the other day and you mentioned with the Make Haus that you have a small team now. How many people in your team?
there is 5 of us,
Yep.
plus freelancers. So I work with, so the way I've structured it is I have 2 designers, like a senior designer that leads with me and like a junior designer that does a lot of documentation and also conceptually, like we sort of all do a lot of things. And then I have Tess that leads like our commercial events and our weddings and she's supported by G and G supports me as well. So we all do work together.
Like
Collaboratively to a degree, but the interior team is very separate to the other things. Because the other things kind of blend together and generally like with events, you know, they do take flowers and they do take the experiential activation elements. So that kind of is one section. So in my mind, it feels like it's like 2 worlds. But yeah, often, yeah, I know it's weird to explain.
But it sounds like you're pretty across it.
Well, yeah, it's a puzzle that I've created and that like I really enjoy those various aspects, but it just takes it's like a work of art trying to find the balance. And there's some real advantages to having the different pillars in, you know, when one area might be slow, another might be booming.
Absolutely.
You know, and it can kind of go in the ebbs and flows, you know, and then what we're watching in event land, like particularly if we're looking into what the European fashion shows are doing or things like colour, and then that can then transcend into what's happening in interior land. And it's nice to see how they kind of flow into each other.
That complement each
Yeah.
other. And is that something that, you know, if we were to look at what inspires you and, you know, is that something that are you looking overseas and seeing what everyone's up to or?
I try to. I mean, I try and look everywhere. I know it's difficult not to look locally. I think we have so much local interior talent, like beyond. You
I
know,
agree.
I try and look everywhere but here, but then I'm like, but there's so many incredibly talented studios, big and small, in Australia that just blow me away. So, naturally I'm on Instagram every day. I'm looking at all of them. Like I'm looking at everything, anything and everything. I love looking to Europe as well, like all the trade shows. I love looking at what the fashion shows are doing, particularly like in Paris and even like Copenhagen, their sets, the color. I think it determines so much in our world. And it's quite funny when clients be like, oh, like butter's in or chocolate's in. It's like, yeah, well, we knew about that like 10 months ago because Balenciaga put that in their show, but
Yes.
It's funny that we only know that. But I fall in lots of worlds. I love Pinterest. I love looking at anything AD. I love, I spiral everywhere. I try and just keep broad and just try and file a lot like digitally so I can just go back to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with Pinterest. Like it can be, I think once you get the hang of it, like I end up using it for personal boards. Like, my partner and I want to do a shoot for this certain thing. And so I've got my little like folder for that and my board for this.
Yeah.
It's actually quite, there's a lot on there.
I love it as an organizing tool. I know people often sort of say, oh, don't start with Pinterest. And I try not to, but like I definitely use it. But even just pinning from other sites.
Absolutely.
And so it's like you're feeding your own kind of algorithm into it. And then you kind of hope that it shows you a few other things. But from a filing perspective, and then from working as a team, it's like, just jump into that board.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really helpful. It's funny, like where and when you are inspired and what triggers it. Because it can be like a back of a restaurant bathroom in the middle of America. And you're like, oh, that's it.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Or even just, little things like recently I was designing a cellar for a client. A few people are wanting cellars lately, which is bougie.
Yeah.
And we were looking at how, we could even write cellar just on it in like beautiful little, how you can just
like
buy
a decal.
buy the decals or buy little font pieces and things like that, text pieces, and just how we can design that into it. And I was inspired because I saw that in Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because something so small like that then transitions into an Australian home.
Yeah.
The client was quite like, feels a bit hotel-esque.
I like it though.
But I was like, I think it's cool.
I think that's really elevated. And I feel like they're the things that clients are really appreciating, like more and more.
Yeah.
We are like shifting away from the White House.
Yeah.
And for me, I like a little bit of colour, but not a lot. Like in a experiential environment, I'll go like very colour saturated. And then I think people get a little bit nervous with my residential. But as like I'm releasing our residential, and everyone's like, oh, it's not coloured. I'm like, well, you can't live in that.
Yeah.
Like we need to be in like a muted kind of world and have just a few quirky things, but
pops of this and
yeah. So I think that's something that I need to, and I will, as projects take a long time. So as the projects get shot and I share them, I'll be able to start sharing more of like our undertone with Resi. 'Cause it is, a little different.
It is. And it is like some projects are 18 months, 2 years.
And I think that's why I have sat in the commercial world for a long time. And it's just in the last year I've had opportunities to enter into the residential market and I'm loving it. But the pace, oh my gosh, it's slow.
Oh,
we can generate a retail store in 3 months.
Yeah.
And quite detailed too. And no one blinks an eye at like the pressure to do that. But, in our residential.
Residential, it's different. Yeah, we've done, commercial projects and typically, 3 to 4 months because they're all trying to get into that.
Well, it's a money.
Yeah, the lease-free period or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Something, around about that time frame. And you kind of think, well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
What's in stock?
Oh, I know.
Let's go.
That's the nice thing about residential design that I'm really liking is that we don't have to fret about what's in stock and you can really just deliver something that you really, really want rather than like, oh, this is not available, let's quickly change it, or
pivot.
Can only go to these suppliers because they, which adds a layer of stress.
Yeah, and it's more personal.
Yeah, totally.
Way more personal.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Unfolded. my interior design studio. From first homes to family renovations, we create spaces that are functional, stylish, and deeply personal. You can see more at unfolded.com.au. So if we look back at all the projects that you completed to date, what would be your favourite?
Without a doubt, it was being invited to do David Jones' flower show. So honoured to do that. And really proud of that installation. Like, it was in the lower floor of the CBD store, and my family came, and a lot of people got to experience my world that aren't typically in it. So that's definitely up there, number one. I think that'd be hard to beat. In terms of interiors, I mean, we have a few on the boil at the moment that, you know, I can't share yet, but definitely up there with my favorite. I think a residential job that I'm working on in Curl at the moment is maybe like a pivotal favorite because it's allowing us to set this new tone in what my aesthetic is with our residential design. And I'm really, really enjoying that because I feel like it's almost like we're harboring these details that people don't know about us as Make Haus. And finally I can start saying, you know, because it's just a burning question, oh, do you do residential? It's like, yes, but like we don't have a lot to show for it yet.
Yes.
You know, so sitting on these projects. I mean, if I had to name one that is out there, I love the sandwich shop that we just did in the CBD Fiore.
Okay.
Which is, we use like red sot sass. It's like green walls, electric glue cabinetry, like red sot sass cabinetry. Like, it's just really loud and bold and maximalist. And it's, again, like probably really extreme for what we would normally do, but it just like packs a real punch. Really into it.
I love that. And so like that's a perfect example then of client brief to completion. Did the clients have a brief with those colours?
Well, I mean, they wanted something jarring, maximalism. You know, I think, it suited their brand. That's what they came for. And then, you know, I think I just wanted to use the salt sass so bad that
This is my job.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the opportunity, you know, and then that kind of just, things kind of just like unveil.
Yeah.
And like, great, that's pairing with this. And it just built like that. Like, they were very guided by what we wanted to do, which was amazing. But like, I'd feed as much back from them to be like, you know, are we in the right world? And yeah, I mean, where it landed was a lot brighter than what I anticipated, but it actually feels really calm within the space because it's like nestled in under like this huge tower of a building in the CBD, like in your gloomy York Street. And so there's not a lot, you know, that's
There's
kind
not
of
heaps of rainbow colours in there.
no. So it's nice.
Okay.
It's like in this real brutalist building. Then you kind of go in, and I kind of understand, like in this, you know, if you want the corporates to come down and they have a bit of a release, it's different. You know, it's not like a boring drab cafeteria.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
And it's when you say, you know, the brutalist kind of area or the architecture even,
yeah.
it is very sort of city throughout that area.
It
like
is.
nearly old worldly.
It is.
So
it's
for
like
something like
back
that.
a vineyard in an area that, you know, now is getting revitalized. And that was the purpose of this sandwich shop going into this space. Like, they're around the AP Bakery and, you know, other really cool eateries. But like, it just looks like a urban jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would just pop, like a cool
pops.
contrast.
It pops.
How fun.
Yeah.
And so in all of this then, you know, I'm listening to you saying you've got a small team, you're jumping across several sort of, you know, ways and approaches of design and styling. You've got 3 kids. Where's time for Dani? Is there a lot of downtime, a lot of personal time?
I do actually surprisingly find downtime. Like, I love hanging at home. I am a homebody through and through. And I do find a lot of time to just sit. I sit on my phone a lot, which is terrible. And I try and not do it, you know, with the kids, but like late at night, it's just like my vice. I just go and watch my shows or have my downtime. But like, typically I'm probably not having a lot of downtime, but I'm okay with it. Like, I've created this madness, and I'm fully aware of how much time like the business takes and that the kids take, but I've got James and I, we share the load, and you know, I do get burnout. I'm not going to lie, it's not a perfect world. It's unavoidable.
It is.
Yeah.
And I was chatting recently with another guest about how it's getting to that point where you're so self-aware of like, you know, when the burnout's coming,
Yeah,
you know, you feel it because you're thinking, I'm overdoing it.
absolutely.
And I might be, I notice it as soon as I get the creative block.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't I resolve this?
Exactly. And I saw this amazing post the other day and I reshared it. And I don't know if I can get the words right, but it was just that people that are creative need to just have space or time in silence, like weeks of it, to recharge.
Yes, please.
Like to recharge and sort of recognizing, like I'd often not allow myself to stop working because I'm like, I've got to be seen that I'm like going and I'm doing so much. But now I feel a bit more comfortable to say to my clients, like, I can't do that in that amount of time because I need time to just think about it. And I want you to know that, you know, just because I'm maybe on pause for a second, like I'm talking days, that I'm thinking about your project.
You need to let it sink in.
You need to let it sink in. And like I visualize all my work. I don't know how other people do it, but like I see it all like in pictures. And, you know, you just can't spit that out.
No.
And so like I am trying to make time to do little mini breaks or going away. Like I feel better about it because I go away and I think about everything and I come back and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Get the clarity.
Get the clarity. Yeah. Whereas I used to think that those pauses or making time for myself was like a bad move and that would be seen as, you know, something that's not favorable to a client.
Yeah. Or even not doing enough.
Not doing enough. Yeah.
Like it's a bit of a trigger, isn't it? Because I'm the same. Like one of my biggest self-talk quietly in my mind is it's not enough.
No,
It's not enough.
it's never enough.
You need to do more. You need to do more. And it's funny because I was literally saying this to my partner about 2 days ago. And I said, it's so interesting that I even have those thoughts, which sound similar to you, when no one has ever said to me it's not enough.
I know.
If anyone, if anything, people say, including my family, you can do less.
Yes.
And then I go, I'm going to start a podcast. Like
I
do
I'm
it to
the same.
myself.
I'm the same. And I think that's what I now say to people when they say, oh, like you do so much. And I'm like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like I like it. I
Some
really
people
like it.
thrive in that environment.
And I'm not perfect at it. And there are times where I'm like so overwhelmed. And I think my team often think that I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm
Are
just
you quite composed when you're overwhelmed?
No, I'm pretty comfortable with my team now. If I'm feeling like, if I'm fretting or like stressing, I do unveil my thoughts because to be guarded is not personable.
It's authentic.
You try and stay stoic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm really struggling or, you know, this is really hard for me or like I'm writing you on this because of X, Y, and Z, you know, like there might be other pressures and trying to just put some perspective and make it like realistic for them, understanding what's on the shoulders.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard to, stay composed and it's just finding the balance.
And I think if anything, in this day and age, we're really embracing a lot more of an authentic, like let's just be real about things.
Yes.
And not just real about things to ourselves and sort of going, okay, that's too much. Or, you know, you can take a step back or I do need a breather. But like you say, being really clear to our clients and saying, look, for me to do this well, give me 4 weeks. When I used to take 3, you know, for me, for the initial
I'm getting better at
phase
setting the
1.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not perfect at it. I still kind of might overpromise, but then I feel like I just have more clarity on how that can affect me. If I say, oh yeah, 2 weeks is fine.
Yeah.
And then it's not because you just can't deliver it because the supplier or someone that you're relying on, you know, they can't get back to you because they have 101 things to tell. So everything just takes time. And that's why I think I love the interior world a little bit more than the event life because the event life is 2 seconds ago. I need it yesterday.
Yes.
And you can't behave like that in interiors because it just doesn't work. Like with lead times, builders' schedules, you know, it's all nice and stretched.
Until demo day.
Oh, I know. And that has its pain points. But
it is. It's a softer approach. Like I've done events before as well and it's just go, go, go.
It's go, go, go.
It's busy.
And also you need so many ideas if you're activating for brands all the time because it's like 1 month it's like everyone wants a branded ice cream, and then it's like, oh no, everyone's done that. We need a new idea. And so I'm like, oh, it's like a hamster wheel. Like you're always on it. Whereas with your interiors, you can like have your handwriting. You might want to use the same ceramic 100 by 100 tile for every single job. And no one's going to question that because that's your signature. And that's what the client wants because they've seen it somewhere else and they're not bothered.
No.
And that's what I love, that you can like continue to build your aesthetics on having your favorites, your favorite joinery color, or, kind of just continually introducing those same things, where you can't do that in events or weddings.
And it's nice because, I agree with you. I think it's sort of in that environment, it's not reinventing the wheel, right? You know that tile works. Also that grout color that you found with that tile.
You have that confidence.
You've got it all because you've done it before. You know it works. You know how to lay it. You know how much square meters. Like
it's nice.
Yeah, there's
and
like
I
a
think
safety
that's
in that.
when you look at other studios and they have a really recognizable look, and it's not because they're trying to do something unique every time. Like it does look different because it's, I don't know, it's got a different brief, but you see similarities. And like, oh, they always use that, paint finish, or oh, they always do it tile. And I'm like, I like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so then with the Make Haus, what is next for the Make Haus? Are you wanting to make a bigger team? Where are you expanding, or?
I'd like to keep a small team. I don't know whether that means that I wouldn't hire anyone else. Because
freelancers, like you mentioned as well.
That's right. Like introducing freelancers would be really nice. I think what I need to introduce to the business next is some more structure around operations, so I can like stay really present in design rather than like currently I feel like I do run it operationally, and that disconnect to be like a designer is hard to grasp when that's what you want your career to be.
Yes.
And then you end up being a business owner. I'm like, I need to get back in that seat. So I would like to grow in that capacity, but I always want to be a small studio. I can't imagine it any other way. I don't know. Things may change over the next decade. I want to really like hone in on our interiors and really like seriously create a real destination for us, like for the clients that want to come to us. And then just continue to like bleed the other things in. I can't let go of them.
No.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've been hands-on since day one, and you're that creative, right? You're that creative thread throughout the business. So
yeah, and it's hard to be so threaded through the business. When you sort of like want to step back and look at like how Make Haus could be repositioned, or, people say, oh, could you ever sell it? And I'm like, no, I couldn't. And I would never. Like, I love what I'm doing and I'm not trying to build something to sell, but it's just interesting how other businesses can be so like transactional. But for me, it's so important for the team that I have in the studio now. Like I want to be able to create personalities for them within the business that clients like also really respect, love and adore. So it's not always, oh, what does Dani think?
Yes.
Because I like to be involved, but it's like I don't necessarily have the best answer at the end of the day. Like I really appreciate like the collaboration and the banter. And I might overlook a design detail, or, I just for any reason. Could be tired, I could be focusing on something else. That's where it gets tricky, when it's like all about you.
And I guess I was just thinking about, businesses that sell businesses, and I think a lot of their intention, especially in the early days, might be to keep it, but then it might grow really, dramatically, and then they get a new idea.
Yeah.
Quite entrepreneurial. And that's why they say try not to put your name in your business.
No.
Which I actually feel like most of the people I know haven't. Like you haven't, the guests that have come on today, and even I chose to do it that way too. I never wanted Camilla Ingle designs.
Yes.
It just doesn't even sing right to me.
No, I know. It's funny what you you have those like what you want lists and what you don't, and how you want to position yourself, and there's so many variables to everything. But I like the feeling of like going to work at the Make Haus, and I know that I've created it, part of it, like a lot of people have contributed to it, but it's nice that sometimes the aesthetic that I think people think is Make Haus might not necessarily even be exactly my viewpoint, because we're creating the Make Haus world. You know, it's like it might not be.
It's like its own entity.
It's its own entity. You know, it's yeah. I can never articulate that properly, but I like that feeling of like, no, that's great for Make Haus. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, I think, you know, it has to be this way because of just what I think.
Or imagine if our names were on it, because we would be like, well, my name's on that.
I know.
So I might have to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it might actually kind of limit you.
You could do.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. So I think, yeah, gosh, it sounds like what a journey. I'm really loving hearing about your journey. And I remember when I first heard of you, and yeah, I was thinking, oh, florals. And it's just so interesting that that's just what comes to mind.
Yeah.
But 10 years on, you're now doing interiors.
It's hard to define and explain what we are. And I'm going to focus on that next year. Like, we're redoing our website at the moment and just freshening up what we are so it's easier to communicate who we are.
Yeah.
Because I'm endlessly explaining it. But and it's probably not going to have just this little punchy tagline like, we do this, because we'll always do lots of things.
Which is fine.
It's fine.
You're a jack of all trades.
I know, and I'm hopefully not a master of none. But I just would have never have picked this for me, but I couldn't imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing, which is bizarre, because it's like you just sort of end up on that path.
I think it's nice if you can look at it all and say, I wouldn't have pictured this to be any different. Because that goes to show that deep inside, it sounds like you're sure of exactly where you are.
I think so.
Even if it is a bit messy at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I'd love to refine. There's lots of areas, but, you know, that comes with time and also money. Yeah.
You got to invest in all of that.
Exactly.
I loved hearing you say, you know, you've got this team and then freelancers, because it made me realize, I was like, oh yeah, I forget that the freelancers that I have as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't need people full time for everything. I'm just not there. I don't know if I ever will be.
That's right.
And yeah, I want someone for socials, and I've got them to do my journals and my blogs, and then I've got people helping with the podcast. But really, they're actually all a part of our team, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're all like critical to how you run your business and whether they're in there full time or not. I think I made a decision to take on full-time team when I had my second baby, because it naturally allowed me to be a little bit more flexible, I guess. And then once, you know, one team member came on, the structure sort of started to appear. But I can't believe I have 6 staff. Oh, wait, 5. 6 staff. Like, it's blows me away.
Yeah.
I find it really weird.
Yeah, but it's also, I hear that number, I think, oh, that's such a sweet spot.
I think it's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
I really do, because we're a female-led team. It's just how it's worked out. But it's the first time in the business that I feel like the dynamic of everyone is like very close and very connected. And like for me as a business owner and like sitting in that team is so fulfilling and inspiring, because like I need to go to work too and sit at that same desk, and when the vibes are good and like everything's really comfortable, like we just deliver much better work. When it's, you know, a bad culture, it's a really uncomfortable environment to be in.
Yeah.
And one that I would never want to enter again. So it's I think that comes with learning too, on like how you kind of like build and establish what your business needs rather than what you want. It's again, like you look at the business, be like, I've got a gap here, or really need help over here, and like, is that a new role, or do we restructure someone? And kind of like make a plan that way.
Which circles back to the business being that degree of separation where you can oversee it as if, you know, you are the owner, but what does the business need?
That's right.
It's like it's its own little baby.
Yeah.
And it has certain needs that you don't personally need, but the
Exactly.
business needs.
Yeah.
And they're managing it from that perspective.
And that's how I like to look
at
at it. I like to feel like I'm looking into the fishbowl and sort of recognizing. And I noticed a lot when I started working at home, having Ryan last year, even though I was 5 minutes away and, you know, available remotely, but even just opening documents or things that were sent to me out of the office environment, I felt like I was looking at them so differently. Like, because, you know, when you glance at a desk and you're like, oh yeah, that looks great, like send it on. But then when you actually open it, I'm like, oh, hang on, like we could change this, or I feel like we could do this better. And I just had a whole new outlook on like how our clients are receiving things.
Like approach almost.
It was just interesting. It's like, okay, I'm glad that
It's a nice reminder though, you know, to take that step back and don't make it all so personal either.
Yeah.
It's like it's a business.
It's a business.
It's a formality.
I want to be the best, and we have a bad habit of just wanting to, you know, like, oh great, we've done that really well, like let's do it better again, like every time. And I'm never content. I'm really satisfied with the work that we're delivering, but I'm always like, I don't know, can we do that better? I just love that.
If you weren't doing that, I'm the same. If we weren't doing that, no one else in the business is going to do that.
No,
and
it's
theirs.
It's not, and they don't need to be responsible for that. And I think that's why it's nice to, and sometimes I feel like that's like I bring a bit of chaos in that way, because I'm like, let's do this, let's not do that, you know.
Yeah.
And I move things, you know, shuffling back and forwards, but that's just our role, you know. It's like realizing that you need that kind of crazy chef in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No.
Either. Like I'm like that too. I sometimes get home and I'm like, oh my God. Like I've got my assistant every Tuesday/Wednesday, and I get home at night and I'm thinking, I think I was just like, did I give her one clear task today? Or did we chat about 8 and she might have finished 5? I don't know where we're at.
I know.
She fortunately sends me a final, like end of day summary, and she's so detail driven. So it's great.
Insane.
And when I read that, I'm like, oh no, she actually got quite a bit done.
They're amazing. And I'm glad that I'm not living with me.
Totally.
I always say, like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, you're fine. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I have experienced me before in other lives, and I'm like, it's difficult, but it's just unfortunately, like, I'm just trying to deliver it in a way that, I don't know, sometimes I just come across so, like,
my best.
I'm abrupt, you know, but I'm like passionate.
I know. And I've said that. Even my friends are like, yeah, you're really direct. Like, I'm sorry.
I don't mean to be.
But I just want to be clear
That's
as well. I don't mean to come across abrupt or direct, but I just want to get some clarity here. So
I agree.
Does everyone get it?
I know. Are we clear? Shall we talk about it again?
That's so funny.
I am a little bit the same, and it's just like learning how to behave with different people.
Yeah.
And then people become comfortable with who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It makes it easier.
Yeah. Well, Dani, it's been incredible chatting to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
It was my pleasure. Honestly, I think what you're doing is incredibly.
Thank you.
I've been watching them, and everything's been so insightful. So I feel honoured to be on it.
Oh, great. I love hearing that. And so just to wrap up, where can people find you?
So you can find us at our website, makehaus.com.au, and on our Instagram handle, which is @theMakeHaus_. So yeah, please look out for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this chat, please follow the show, leave a review, and share it with a friend who loves design. I'm Camilla Ingle, and this has been Behind the Design. Until next time.